Welcome to this Divine Grace Masterclass. Hayley Zammit here, and it's an honor to share this with you. So in this masterclass, we will first go through topics around what is divine grace, how can grace serve us in our life, how can we experience grace in our lives? How can I live my life feeling supported by grace? Examples of how I personally have experienced grace in my life. The importance of our heart and higher self when it comes to grace. Practical tools to assist in experiencing grace. What resistance may arise when we surrender to grace. The difference between grace and doing the work. How grace supports the overall collective consciousness and ascension journey. And there will also be a channeled message from the Elohim, which are angelic beings, about grace, which I channeled earlier. And there will also be a 30-minute guided meditation at the end. So feel free to grab a pen and paper if you wish to take some notes, or you can just sit back and listen and receive. Just like with anything, also use discernment. Take what resonates and leave the rest. So firstly, what is divine grace? Well, at the end of this class, you will hear the Elohim's channeled message about what grace is, and it's really beautiful. But right now, I'll give you a summary that is easy to understand about what grace is, coming from a human perspective of understanding. So divine grace is ultimately an essence and energy of source that exists around us and within us and as us. We are embodiments of grace ourselves and can experience in our lives. Divine grace is the space where miracles and blessings occur. So it's saying the prayer, giving our request, or calling out with pure intent, and then surrendering it over to the divine source, God, whatever word you want to use, to handle the rest and allow the magic to happen. It's having the willingness or faith to ask for help, for assistance, or healing, or guidance, and then it's surrendering and letting go of all resistance and allowing the divine to orchestrate the miracle, blessing, love, to be manifest. Although saying that we do not always have to ask out loud in this physical experience, more so it's asking at a soul level. Deep down we know it's our birthright to be held and supported by Source. It can be experienced when we don't consciously ask. For when we are present in life, we can observe and experience the magic, the blessings, the grace of the divine in our personal life and in others and within the collective of humanity. When we are able to be heart-centered and present in our reality, we can notice the grace that is always occurring for us more easily than if we are always in our heads and stressing about the past or the future and operating from the egoic structure of the mind. Well, the ego structure will fight against and resist letting go of control, and it will not want to release its grip on the mind, to keep it in its comfort zone, replaying trauma from the past, and keeping its sense of self-identity and personality as a separate being from others and from your own divinity. There are times in our life when we don't know what to do. We feel stuck. We don't know how things are going to work out. We feel so out of control. We are in fear. And it is often when we are experiencing suffering, that is when we recognize grace, because we feel like we have no other option but to have a faith or trust in something outside of ourselves. However, divine grace is always occurring, as we are divine beings of Source, of love, and Source wants to know itself through us. So we must see the love, the grace, the miracles that we are in our experience. Grace can be in the moments when we hear the right word at the right time, when we have a couch to stay on for the night, when we have a hug with someone that helps us to keep going. We have the blessing of someone sitting with us and talking with us, or we needed food or money and it appeared. And grace can also happen through ways that we cannot comprehend, and not through people. It can come from what can seem like an invisible force. Grace is all about the surrender of what our human aspect does not know how to get through, solve, heal, manifest, and we invite God to be a part of the process and assist us in the resolution. We are open to whatever the solution or byproduct is. We have the faith and trust that all will work out in our highest good, and release our resistance or suffering, and can be in the space of letting go and handing it over to something beyond what our limited human awareness can understand or make happen. There are no terms or conditions we need to meet in order to qualify and receive grace. However, the more we surrender and trust and observe it in our life, the more ease and flow we will experience, knowing we are never alone. We are always supported and guided. When we know everything is energy and consciousness, and realize that we are a multi-dimensional being of love, fully connected to Source, we can understand that everything does not have to be so hard. We are in touch with a quantum field where there are infinite possibilities, and we are supported by Spirit and Source. So really our job is to accept, surrender, to receive, by letting go of resistance and integrate with our love and presence all that which we grasp on to from the programs, conditionings, traumas that the nervous system and egoic structure of the mind is holding on to. So from all of this, you have come to know how hard grace can be to define using language. Language is limited, so the truest way to know what grace is as it moves through your intuition and through direct experience. So how can grace serve us in our life? When we become aware of how grace is supporting us, we can become more fearless and have more trust in life. We feel supported and guided. We behave and act with intention, and we can know deep down that there is a force that permeates this life beyond our logical thinking and understanding. and it is so loving and divine. So grace can serve us in our life by affecting us on all levels of our being, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. It really comes down to us as individuals to determine how much grace we acknowledge and experience in a more conscious way. Do we ask for grace? Do we believe that we are worthy of it? Do we become present enough to witness it and feel it? Grace will occur and happen for those who do not specifically ask for it, but many people are so closed off and will not acknowledge it or not see the sacredness in it, and that's okay. There is no right or wrong, but there is a way that will allow you to feel so supported and worthy and remind you of the beautiful being that you are. We can lift up our hearts, which may be experiencing pain. We can lift up our worries and stresses. We can ask and open up to support, healing, help, when we do not know how or what we can do with whatever is arising in our lives. We can allow ourselves to surrender and invite in source energy, our team in spirit. We can activate an expansion in consciousness, receive inspiration, guidance, and healing energy. Also remember to be open. Grace may arrive in your life in a different way than you expected. So, how can I live my life feeling supported by grace? So to live your life feeling supported by grace is to live a life with more ease, flow, and inspiration. You see the infinite possibilities and potentials. You feel supported and guided as you move forward in your life into the unknown. You don't put limitations on what is possible. You welcome in source energy rather than trying to force things and do everything on your own. It's freedom and liberation from the egoic structure of the mind, and which is continuously operating from past programs and conditionings. Feeling supported will truly change your life as you allow yourself to be a channel of Source's love and wisdom, and you give yourself permission to follow your heart's calling and to help others when you are the person to be a channel for this grace. Grace allows you to see a higher perspective and go beyond illusions. You see through the eyes of Source or your higher self's consciousness and know that any time you are triggered by something or see someone else acting out of fear or hurt, you can offer presence, love, forgiveness, and grace in that moment. You can uplift, honor, and have the consciousness that sees yourself and others through a loving awareness and offer blessings. So I wanted to provide a couple of examples of how I have experienced grace in my life. I've experienced grace many times in daily moments and in times of suffering. Grace from Source and Spirit and through people in my life. However, the most noticeable and transformational time when I discovered the power of divine grace and recognized it was at the beginning of 2016. I was suffering and had so much pain in my heart. I did not know if I could live one more day. It's not that I wanted to end my life, it's that I wanted the pain and suffering that I was experiencing to end. I didn't know what else to do, so I cried out, God, if you really exist, then I need you to help me now. I remember lying on the floor, completely surrendering everything to God or a higher power. I was willing to open up to the possibility that someone would hear my call. I allowed the resistance and fighting to go and completely surrendered. I guess it was also accepting what was, but I just couldn't fight any longer. I don't remember if it was the day after or a few days later, but everything changed. It was like I was seeing through new eyes and had a complete shift in consciousness. This is an example of how I was showered with grace. With pure intent I prayed, then surrendered and was open to whatever it was that could help me ease my suffering and see differently. When I cried out, I was willing to open up to the possibility that there was something or someone listening. I had the humility to be able to ask for help at my lowest point, even though I did not know how it was possible to. Grace showed up and blessed me in my darkest hour and has completely given me the trust in knowing that I'm never alone. I am supported, guided, and I am of Source. I know there is always help on the way and always someone listening. Another example was a bit earlier in my life, maybe around 2014 or so. I was sober driving a car full of friends. I hadn't been drinking at all, and I had picked up my friends up in an area which was on quite a windy road on a hill. As I was driving down the hill that night, it was really misty, and I could hardly see the road in front of me. So I was being careful, but the next thing I knew, I was heading down the road on the hill after I'd picked up all my friends, and all of a sudden a corner appeared, and I wasn't prepared for it. It came up so quick, and it was a really tight corner, and I had no idea how we were going to stay on the road and survive. I truly thought I was going to drive straight off the cliff with the car full of my friends. But the next thing I know, we're back on the road. I don't know how. I don't remember turning the wheel and what happened in that moment, but somehow we were okay. I truly believe this was grace. When I thought it was all out of my control, we were saved. A miracle occurred. There was divine intervention. These are some examples of grace that can really wake us up to the fact that there is so much more happening beyond what our physical senses can see, hear, smell, and touch. That we are being supported, guided, and taken care of in so many ways that we are unaware of. And it's not just from big examples like this, but in everyday life. I now want to touch on the importance of our heart and higher self when it comes to grace. Our heart is a portal to Source, and to our higher self and spirit. It is the space of divine love and all the other divine qualities of Source, such as grace. It is by being heart-centered that we are open and receptive to more tangibly and in a more conscious way experience grace. When we reside in presence and in our heart, we can allow our higher self-consciousness to permeate our awareness as the egoic structure of the mind takes a back seat. From this place, our heart can be a compass to the divine grace that comes pouring into our life. We sense, feel, hear, or know where we need to go, what we need to do, who to call, what will serve us for our highest good, and more. When we are heart-centered and operating from our higher self's consciousness, we are not denying or discarding what we receive. We are not trying to figure everything out logically. We are not trying to fit into a box or manipulating it. Instead, we have a remembrance of our divinity and connection to Source. We have this knowing of a loving power and force that is always available. We are in touch with our true essence and multidimensionality. We know that anything is possible and miracles can happen, big or small. We are in tune with our subtle senses and perceive beyond this lower dimensional reality and consciousness. And ultimately, we do not force or try to do everything on our own when there is so much support, guidance, and love available to us. So now I'm going to go into some practical tools to assist in experiencing or recognizing grace. Some practical tools to open up to receive grace and experience it can include a variety of ways, but I want to highlight here that to really experience it in a conscious way, we need to be in the present moment. We need to have a level of surrender, receptivity, and intention, or else it can be so easy to pass us by. But also sometimes it isn't until we can look back and see it, especially if it happened all of a sudden and perhaps was from a life-threatening incident and there was a lot to process. We may look back and see the grace in the experience. So the tools I will list here will be tools that can support you to practice in being open, willing, and receptive to witness and experience grace when it next occurs in your life, while simultaneously knowing that grace can happen on a daily basis. It does not always need to be a big major thing, and also we cannot possibly comprehend all that which is going on behind the scenes. So tool number 1 is meditation. The reason why I love meditation is because it really gets us into this space of sitting and being present and opening up to our true selves and beyond. We are able to take time in stillness away from the busyness of life and our minds and be receptive to our inner guidance, Source and Spirit, and all that beyond the physical realm of existence. Know there are many types of meditation that we can do, but I think the most important qualities of doing a meditation for opening to grace is being able to get into that state of surrender, receptivity, and have pure intent. We can stop any resistance. We can stop trying to figure things out logically and instead just soften and open to something so much more than our limited human awareness and receive what we need, whether that be on an emotional, mental, spiritual, or physical level, without having any expectations on how or what it should look like, and instead remain open to the infinite possibilities available. I will provide a 30-minute guided meditation at the end of this training for you. However, also know that depending on who we are and what we are experiencing, there may be layers of unfoldment that may be required. For instance, some of us may be able to fully surrender and open our hearts easily, while some of us may not feel safe to do that. Therefore, it will be a gentle process that is required. Unfolding the petals of your heart one step at a time and letting the density and resistance dissolve in divine timing with you and your soul. If you are finding it difficult to be in a state of surrender, then you could feel more comfortable with perhaps saying some affirmations as a meditation, or doing a mindfulness meditation where you become present in the moment with your breath or your surroundings. Tool number 2 is writing or journaling. When we sit down to write from the heart or pull out our journal to share our thoughts and questions, we often get into a space of flow and tap into a deeper part of us, and our ego can get out of the way, and we allow the guidance that wants to come through for us, whether it's from our higher self consciousness or from spirit and source. Through having the intent to sit down and write and create space for ourselves to process things or to see things from a higher perspective, we allow grace to permeate our awareness and offer us words of wisdom or inspiration. Tool number 3 is prayer and presence. When we sit to pray, we often close our eyes and invoke the divine or source or spirit or God, whatever word you want to use. We talk to source. We may ask for assistance, for healing, to see things differently, for support for ourselves or others. We remain present to the transmission that we may receive, whether it's through an energy or through words, thoughts, feelings, knowings, etc. We open ourselves up to the grace of God through surrendering to a power beyond our limited human awareness and comprehension. We open to a power, a force or presence that is loving and abundant. It is from this place of communion and receptivity we can experience divine grace in the moment, and also as we see the grace unfold in our lives after our time in prayer and presence with the divine. Tool number 3 is direct experiences and belief in grace. Whether we take moments of reflection and see the gifts of grace that have occurred in our life, or whether we are in the present moment and can look around and see all the beauty and magic, we can tune into the grace that is always there, both surrounding us and within us. If we are stuck in our heads and constantly doing, it is most likely we won't recognize or acknowledge grace. And if we have the belief that things are just random, chance, and coincidence, we block ourselves off from truly seeing and knowing grace. Whereas if we are in touch with our true self and believe in the support and grace of Source or God or the universe, then we will see it reflected in our life. And there are so many more tools and ways to see grace and open to grace and experience it, so keep your body, heart and mind open. So, what resistance may arise when I decide to surrender to and accept divine grace in my life? Resistance to grace will always arise from the egoic structure of the mind. It does not come from who you truly are, as that higher consciousness embraces and holds the energy of grace. This true self, this part of you, will never resist it. Remember, surrendering to grace does not mean that you are powerless and worthless and have no say in your life. It means you are opening to the co-creation between you and Source, and using your free will to work with the powerful force that can support you, and really recognizing that you never have been separate from Source, you never have been disconnected, even if it felt like you were. So the mind may resist this by having thoughts that don't feel good, thoughts about what if, or fearful thoughts because of uncertainty, or any thoughts that repel the idea, as it cannot tolerate not being in control and be in the unknown, and it can't be present and open in the moment. Therefore, the nervous system may become dysregulated, and traumas from the past may be triggered, and you may feel unsafe in your body, and letting the barriers of your heart dissolve, and other emotions may arise. No, these are all valid experiences to have, but the paradox is that the healing can come through grace. So you may ask what the difference is between grace and you being a vibrational match to receive that, or you did the work to make that happen. Let's remember that grace is freely given to you, no matter what you are vibrating, no matter what you are feeling or experiencing, no matter of your age or gender. So grace is always there, no matter if you are working on your vibrational state, or if you are taking the inspired action in your life or not. The flow of life is always happening, and life is being lived through you. Therefore, the key difference here is your perception and state of consciousness. Whether you acknowledge you are a co-creator with Source, and grace is flowing through you and supporting you via inner guidance and lining up all the components to have an event occur, to meet a specific person, etc. Or you can come from the perception that you and only you do everything in your life. Nothing else has an effect or contribution to what happens in life. So this difference in perception has a lot to do between oneness versus self. So there is no wrong or right here. There is just a different perception and state of consciousness one chooses to see through. You can praise yourself and your efforts and take all the credit, or you can acknowledge this co-creation with you and Source and feel the oneness, magic, and sacredness of it all, and embrace all experiences with acceptance. So how does divine grace support the overall collective consciousness and ascension journey? Grace supports the overall collective consciousness and our ascension journey by the essence and frequency of it. When grace is felt and experienced by individuals, whether through an unknown way or through another human being, animal, or nature, this creates an energy that occurs that others can entrain with as we maintain in resonance with it. Just like any other divine quality or essence of Source, it is a vibrational frequency existing within the one Source consciousness, and within the consciousness of humanity as a collective and on an individual soul level. Of course, each of us have free will, which is honored, which is why it is never forced or imposed upon anyone, but it is present for all to tune into and embody and emit. Therefore, the more humans on the planet who embody and express grace, the more humans can be affected, even just on an energetic level, therefore affecting the whole collective consciousness. Through the raising and expansion of the collective consciousness, this ultimately affects the ascension journey we are all on, where we are expanding as souls, bringing heaven to earth, and unfolding into our higher selves embodied on earth. Through grace, humanity will know that they are both human and divine, and they will know the love that Source has for them no matter what. So now I'm going to share a channeled message from the Elohim about grace. Grace cannot be taken from you, or you be exempt from it. You as a child of God are grace itself manifest. Grace can appear in all forms, shapes, and sizes, but it always remains as an eternal, everlasting force and presence that permeates your world. It can be acknowledged consciously, or it can go unacknowledged, but behold, it will affect your life in beautiful ways, and perhaps in ways that cannot be understood by you. Many grapple with the idea of grace because they do not feel worthy of it. But know you are worthy of grace because you exist, because Source would not want you to go without its grace and its presence. Grace has many functions. It can heal, it can manifest, and it can transform. There are no limitations for grace, as grace extends from the one Source light, which is eternal and ever-present. Grace is the force of God illuminating its presence in your life. It is a messenger from the divine. Knowing you are guided, supported, and loved by Source. You do not have to live a life without grace because it is freely given. And it will always be there for you when you surrender to it by letting go of the resistance you are experiencing, or in the times of unexpected events or trauma. You are held in the wings of grace. You are loved in the arms of Source. You are reminded of your own magnificence and how you can be a manifestation of grace there on earth. You can be one with the essence of grace when you listen and act upon your intuition to help another, to extend an offering or welcoming to another. When you allow yourself to be a vessel of the divine. You may not understand how you are affecting another person's life, but they will see and know you as a living angel on earth. That is grace. Now here is a 30-minute guided meditation for opening up to grace. Welcome to this guided meditation for opening up to grace. You can do this seated or lying down. Close down your eyes and bring your awareness inside. Notice how you are feeling without judgment. Just become aware of any sensations in the body, any thoughts or emotions arising within you now, accepting what is in this now moment, not grasping for anything and not pushing anything away. Begin to take some deep, long, conscious breaths in and out of your nose. We are going to take about 5 minutes to just breathe and get our nervous system into a regulated state. Become more present and begin to soften so our bodies, hearts, and minds feel safe to open up and surrender. Now, what is your intention? What is it you want to lift up to God, Source, or Spirit? What is it that you want support and guidance with? Take a few minutes to talk to this loving presence that is always there. Pray, declare, intend. Have humility and know you do not have to have this weight on your shoulders or do anything alone. Now imagine that you are holding this request in your hands out in front of you. Lift it up to Source. Say in your mind or out loud with pure intent whatever it is you want to say as you pass it over through your own free will, allowing it to be taken. Now surrender into the moment, allowing all the worries, stresses, pain, resistance to fade away as you accept and surrender now. Allow your body to release any tension and soften into the floor beneath you. Allow any emotions that are arising to come up and be released and alchemized. Feel them, be with them, allow your body to process them in whatever way it wants to. You could cry, shake your body, use your voice. Whatever it is, allow this emotional purge to occur. Surrender into the now, into the peace, into the present moment, stillness and awareness. Allow yourself to be, and perhaps sense a presence of love or compassion around you. Be open and receptive to whatever this experience brings. Take the next 10 minutes to surrender and receive. Be there with no expectations, just to be in stillness and surrender. When you feel ready, start to come back to this meditation. Tune into your body. Notice the subtle changes within you. Perhaps your physical body feels lighter, like a weight has been lifted. Perhaps your body feels a sense of relaxation, or perhaps you feel your life force energy flowing through you like a current of energy. Notice your mental state. Perhaps it is more clear, silent, and peaceful. And notice your emotional state now. Take the last few moments of this meditation to just be with yourself. Perhaps during your time of stillness and surrender, you experience things beyond what your linear human mind can understand. Perhaps you felt a presence or energy around you. Perhaps you feel connected to something more. Can you recognize grace? Whatever it is, integrate that experience. Take some deep breaths. Move your body and softly open your eyes when you wish.